Now, if you're trying to get romantic, sir, you want to take a picture over there. See how the sunset is over there?
Oh, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Hello and welcome to our channel. I'm Mike.
And I'm Liz, and this is our 5th episode of our Disney World vlog series.
If you've missed part of the series, you can check it out by clicking on the card above Liz's head.
Today we are taking you on a West Coast adventure.
And to a galaxy far, far away with Disney's Hollywood Studios.
First, we'll show you our experiences and impressions.
Then we'll provide you our 8 tips to help you plan your day.
Especially how to ride Rise of the Resistance.
So grab your boots and a blaster and we'll jump into it. So our Lyft driver dropped us off a little before 6:30 in the morning. We wanted to rope drop Hollywood Studios, and also we wanted to ride the Rise of the Resistance, because the only way to do that right now is to get a boarding pass. You can't actually get a boarding pass until the park's official opening at 8 in the morning. So what we did is we scanned into the park, after having gone through bag check, and we made our way straight for Toy Story Land so that we could get in line to ride Slinky Dog Dash.
About half of the crowd waiting for rope drop was actually headed toward Smugglers, Ronto, and Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, and we actually didn't want to ride that initially because they have a single rider line. Later on in the day, we were able to get through the line pretty quickly. So we wanted to get on Slinky Dog Dash because we didn't have a FastPass for it, and we knew that the lines were going to increase tremendously throughout the day.
So we waited outside of Toy Story Land for probably about an hour, and it was gorgeous. The sun was coming up, and it really wasn't a bad wait.
So something that I heard some people around us complaining about, why did we have to get here so early if they're not going to allow us to get a boarding group for Rise of the Resistance until 8? And the reason you want to do rope drop in the first place, it's not only so that you have a chance to get the boarding group, but it's also allowing you to be at the front of the pack whenever it comes to riding some of the premier attractions.
Yeah, because we were in the park waiting.
Right, and so there were a few hundred people in front of us, but basically the way that it worked was we were able to just about walk onto Slinky Dog Dash.
Yeah.
Because there was also a division between Slinky Dog Dash and Toy Story Mania as far as the crowd is concerned. But since we were kind of close to the front of the pack, we had a very short wait for Slinky Dog Dash. And since we were some of the first to get off of Slinky Dog Dash, we were some of the first to get in the line at Toy Story Mania. And that's just kind of how it works until you get to, like, say, 9:15 in the morning, which is kind of when the sweet spot is for when you want to start in those FastPass selections. And so what it does is it helps get a whole lot of waiting time out of the way early in the morning, right as the park is opening. So it really is an advantage for the rest of your day by getting there early.
So Slinky Dog Dash was the first ride we rode at Hollywood Studios. The queue line was actually really neat. I had all these giant toys, board games, and fun Toy Story characters. It was really, really impressive.
Yeah, lots of nostalgic stuff. I loved how everything was oversized so that you were the size of the toys. I think Slinky Dog Dash is set up to be like, this is a ride that Andy's created in his backyard. So it was a lot of fun. I thought the theming was cool. The ride, I really loved the ride. It's not one of those extreme rides. It does go up fairly high. It does go fairly fast. It's one of those maglev slingshot rides. I thought it was just solidly enjoyable. Yeah.
So after Slinky Dog Dash, we made our way back to what we thought was Toy Story Mania. We were actually standing in line for a while and then realized we were in the line for the character meet and greet.
Yes. Yeah, so it
was like, why isn't this line moving?
I know. It was so frustrating. That was, for me, the worst part of the day. Whenever I realized that Woody was at the end of the line.
It would have been cool to meet Woody, but that wasn't what we were waiting for.
No. So that was a little bit frustrating because, it put us back, I don't know, probably only a couple of minutes realistically.
Yeah, maybe even longer than that. It wasn't too bad.
It was just frustrating because the whole meet and greet thing was set up right in front of Toy Story Mania, so we thought we were in the proper line and we were not. But oh well. I would say that Toy Story Mania had an even more fun queue line than
it was similar,
but not. It was all themed about the same.
Probably had more to look at, I'd say, than Slinky Dog Dash. But,
and they had this animatronic Mr. Potato Head Yeah, and so he was telling jokes and all sorts
And
of stuff.
singing.
Yeah. So that was a lot.
That's
of fun.
pretty. Yeah, it was very impressive.
And actually, something that I didn't realize until fairly recently was that Toy Story Mania, it opened in like 2008.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually been there a while, but they
It felt modern.
perfectly integrated all of the rest of the Toy Story land. As for the ride itself,
It's kind of like you're on a ride that swings around, and it's like a video game at the same time.
yeah. There's a little cord on your blaster in front of you, and you pull the cord, and it releases a ball, and you're supposed to hit targets. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah. From Toy Story Land, we headed over to the Hollywood Tower of Terror, and that was a really great ride. It was classic. It was kind of like Haunted Mansion in that it was that cheery, spooky 1960s sort of fun spooky, where it's not actually scary, it's not gross or anything like that. It was just a lot of fun.
For me, it was a little, not I'm going to say scary, but it was like a little anxiety because I didn't know what the ride was about at all, and I purposely didn't look up anything about it. So I went into it having no idea what exactly was going to happen.
And one of the cool things about that ride, though, is even if you've been on it before, the ride switches up every single time. So as far as the way it
That's
drops or how it bounces and goes up and that sort of a thing, you're going to get a different experience each time. And so that sort of increases that sort of
The thrill.
Yeah, the thrill of it. Yeah.
The only thing I'd say that bothered me when we were on it was there was some girls in the front and they were taking photos of themselves with a flash on, and it was so distracting that it actually took away a little bit of the excitement of the ride.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good, and some of the effects for an older ride, it really held up pretty well.
Yeah, it felt really like classic too.
Yeah. Classic Disney. So from Hollywood Tower of Terror, we went back into Toy Story Land and crossed over into Galaxy's Edge.
I was definitely looking forward to the Galaxy's Edge, I'd say the most, going into Hollywood Studios. So our friends Matt and Molly were actually planning to be there that day. It just so happened to be the same day, and which was really cool.
Yeah.
And so we decided we were going to meet up and hang out. They're huge Star Wars fans, so it was really fun to meet up with them. So for breakfast, we ate at Galaxy's Edge. We had the Ronto morning wrap from the Ronto Roasters.
It had a grilled pita and some sausage and egg and peppercorn sauce. It was really good. We ordered through the My Disney Experience app, and that saved us a whole bunch of time. And so that's definitely the way to do it. So we exited Galaxy's Edge and headed over to the Joffrey's station, which is behind the Chinese theater, kind of over between that and Toy Story Land. We got the Round 'em Up latte and Kona Mocha latte, and they were really good.
Yeah, it looked like each Joffrey's at individual parks had a different specialty drink, so I decided I kind of wanted to try them all.
Just try them all.
Try them all if I could. But so the Round 'em Up latte, I think it had like a cookie, like an animal cracker cookie on top, so it kind of made it look like more toy themed and playful.
Yeah.
That was really good.
So we went back into Galaxy's Edge and checked out the Droid Depot, which was actually really cool. There were all these little droid parts that were on a conveyor belt running around your head. And of course, at that station, that's where you can build your own droid.
Something too, I noticed with a lot of the stores, they kind of looked like movie sets, and it was just unbelievably impressive.
The theming at Galaxy's Edge is top notch.
Yeah, that was, I'd say, the most impressive of any park. Just the attention to detail was just unbelievable.
Even the forced perspective of the mountains that they have in the distance, it all worked just amazingly well. And something that I liked about Galaxy's Edge was that, I don't know, I had this image of it being kind of a flat area and you just kind of make your way around in a circle and you're done. But there were areas where there were ramps going up into different sections.
Stairs.
Yeah, different stairs and things like that. Everything was wheelchair accessible, but I liked the undulation.
Yeah. It felt like you were in a city, an actual city.
Yeah, and so it was a lot more intricate. There were far more shops and things like that than I had
like you're
anticipated.
in like this ancient marketplace. So
Yeah.
It's really neat.
So we exited Galaxy's Edge and headed over to the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. It's on this huge stage, And I had no idea that they were going to move the whole thing out of the way, and then they had these huge stage pieces that they brought in.
And they also involves people in the crowd.
Yeah,
which is fun. It makes it kind of a unique experience.
Mm-hmm. And it was nice to go to Hollywood Studios and use some of our time to watch a show. So there are a lot of people who, the reason why they go to Hollywood Studios is so they can watch show after show after show. We weren't really that interested in doing that, but it was fun to spend a little time watching, this cool Indiana Jones show. So something to note is that they only do 6 per day, and so you'll have to choose your time. And we actually got a FastPass for it. We
got pretty good seats.
Yeah, we got pretty good seats, kind of right in the middle, and it was a lot of fun.
So afterwards, we had a fast pass, and we made our way towards Star Tours.
Yeah, it's an older Star Wars ride outside of Galaxy's Edge. It was fun. There was nothing particularly wrong with it. It just wasn't, for me, as enjoyable as the stuff in Galaxy's Edge.
It wasn't as unique of an experience.
Right, and it was older. It was an older ride. I think they kind of updated some of the visuals to match the latest Star Wars films. But yeah, I thought it was all right. I thought it was okay, but it just wasn't as cool as some of the other stuff.
So then, after that, we re-entered Galaxy's Edge, and we decided to have lunch at the same place we had breakfast, because they had a lunch version of the Ronto wrap.
So we had the Ronto wrap, but Liz got the Endoran chicken wrap. And I really liked both. I liked the snappiness of the slaw in the Ronto wrap, but overall, I really did like that Endoran chicken. It was really refreshing, very Mediterranean. It had the cucumbers in there. And
it was hard to find seating for lunch. So actually, and breakfast. So for our meals, for lunch and breakfast, we just stood.
Yeah, we just stood. There was a little,
they had little stations where you could
table.
stand, and there was a table.
Yeah.
So that was nice, at least.
Yeah, right. So we met up with Matt and Molly again and headed over toward Docking Bay 7, which is a place where you can you order and sit down with a bit of a nicer meal than what you can get at Ronto Roasters. And then we headed into Dok-Ondar's Den of Antiquities. And that was a really cool shop. Yeah. They had all these helmets and various goods that you could buy, and others that were just sort of decorating the place. And it was a cool little shop. I love the theming, not only in the whole park,
so many details
in those little shops. It was just so cool. Yeah. So we parted ways with Matt and Molly again, and Liz and I headed over to Smugglers Run. We got in the single rider line.
Yeah, it was a big difference in time.
Yes, yeah, it took down the time considerably. I want to say it was maybe around 20 minutes less than what it would have been if we had done standby.
I would say with this ride, it would be much more fun with a group of people that you know. So it is fun.
That's true.
It is easier getting on the ride if you do single rider. But I would recommend trying to get in there with a group. So riding single rider, I was just stuck with people I didn't know, and they kept crashing into everything. So the ride wasn't as fun as it could have been.
So the ride actually uses some video game engines in order to render what you're doing in real time. The pilots have limited control over what's actually happening on the flight simulator. But if you end up with some incompetent pilots, your ride can be over sooner. You can not have as much enjoyment. So it makes it a little bit tough to not have the control over your ride that you could have if you were the pilot yourself.
Yeah. After that, we decided we wanted to get some blue milk. So Mike had researched this. There's actually 2 options. You can have the blue milk or the green milk.
Right. And so the blue milk has more of a tropical type flavor, whereas the green, which we didn't try, is apparently more citrusy. It's really interesting how polarizing these drinks are.
Yeah, because you think milk and you're like, ugh.
Yeah. So it's actually a plant-based milk. It's not actually a true milk. It's funny because we actually ended up enjoying the milk. We thought it was pretty good, refreshing. It's kind of more of a slushy. Our friends really didn't care for it. And a lot of people complain about it being too perfumey or something like that. I didn't sense that at all.
I don't know, like anything, though. There's going to be people that like it and people that don't.
Yeah. So we liked it. You may not like it. You'll have to try it for yourself. If you're willing to spend $8 on about 12 ounces of slushie.
It's expensive, very expensive.
Right near the milk stand is the First Order Cargo shop. and just kind of a miniature little nook where they have some cool items from the First Order.
Also, there was bathrooms right there, and they were completely Star Wars themed, which was really interesting.
Yeah, I was really impressed. Even the hand dryers were painted to look Star Warsy.
Yeah, and I don't know how it looked in the men's bathroom, but the hand washing station looked like a feeding trough.
Yeah, pretty cool. So one of the cool things about Galaxy's Edge is that they have characters walking through there on pretty much a constant basis. So you'll see Chewbacca, you'll see different First Order stormtroopers. And it was kind of fun how they would stop and harass you a little bit.
Yeah, they completely interact with people. It's really fun.
And one of the other cool instances is there was an X-Wing that was kind of up on sort of a stage type area. And a few of the characters, including Chewbacca, were trying to fix it. There was something wrong with it. It was overheating or something like that. And they were asking for a mechanic in the crowds. And our friend Matt, who is a mechanic, kind of raised his hand, and they're like, "Are you a mechanic?" And they pulled him up. And they were working on how to fix this X-Wing. They're trying to work out what the problems were for about 3 or 4 minutes. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the interaction between the characters and the guests. It really just kind of helped make the experience that much better.
Don't change your mind. Goodbye, traveler.
Change your mind.
So our next ride was Rise of the Resistance, which we were anticipating the most. We actually did get a decent boarding group. I think it was around in the 60s somewhere.
Yeah.
Our friends Matt and Molly, they got a boarding group in about the 80s, and so then they give you a 2-hour window to ride the ride. So we were like really, really hoping we could ride the ride with them, just time it right.
We had a little bit of a scare though, because right as their boarding group was about to be called, our boarding group disappeared from off of our app, and it was saying that it was too late for us to ride the ride.
Yeah, which didn't make any sense because it hadn't been...
We still had like 15 minutes in which we should have been able to ride the ride. And so we went up to a cast member and asked them about it, and they're like, "Oh, it's fine, you guys can ride together." So everything clicked right. There was like the thinnest little overlap, and we were able to, all 4 of us, ride together. And that was a spectacular ride.
Yeah.
It was so cool. I loved how varied all the different elements are. And
it's a surprise, too. It's not what you think it is. I'll say that.
Yeah. Unless you've watched POV ride-throughs, and then you'll know pretty well what's going to happen. So we know that Rise of the Resistance has been hyped up a bit, but in our opinion... the hype is pretty accurate.
It was funny, too. I thought the very first part was the whole ride, and I was actually really disappointed. So it's really, it has different layers.
Yeah. So I would say that they pulled out all the stops, all of the tricks that they could, and it had kind of a fun story. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate about a lot of the Disney rides is that they put story into their rides. It's not just something that's fun to do. You're actually a part of a Star Wars story.
I thought it felt like you were, the ride felt like you were actually like in a movie.
Yeah.
It was very, very cool.
Yeah. So, and all of the, all the special effects and everything were really well done, I thought. And so we definitely recommend that you ride it if you can. As you'll find out in the hot tips, it's not super easy to ride the ride. So we exited Galaxy's Edge once again and headed over to Keystone Clothiers so that our friends could kind of check out a few gift items.
Shopping.
Yeah, do a little shopping before they left the park because we were going to stick around longer than they were.
Our next ride was Rock and Roller Coaster, which we had a fast pass for. Kind of like a rock and roll theme roller coaster.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I really liked it.
Aerosmith themed.
With
Aerosmith music. Yeah, and in fact, it's the only ride in Disney World that takes you upside down.
So I didn't really know what to anticipate with that. Just because you take your bag on with you, so I'm thinking I don't want like stuff to fly out of the cart, but you're going so fast and your stuff's tucked in that it's pretty safe.
Yeah. There's no real risk of it coming out as long as you have your stuff pretty secure.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of fun, and I guess they switch up tracks and
too.
stuff.
It's pretty fast.
It's definitely one of the faster rides at Walt Disney World. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. More extreme than most.
It's in the dark too.
Yeah. It's a dark, fast, looping roller coaster
With neon lights.
rock and roll. So we had some dining reservations for about 7 o'clock at Mama Melrose. And if you've been to Hollywood Studios and you don't know where Mama Melrose is, that's not a surprise. It's tucked away kind of behind Muppets 3D and Pizza Rizzo's, and just kind of in its own little alleyway. But it was actually really good. I thought the atmosphere was fun. We ended up getting a baked arancini and vine-ripened tomatoes and fresh mozzarella.
The quality of the food, it was very, very good. Very top-notch.
Yeah, super good. And then for an entree, because we had the 2 appetizers to share, we split an entree, kind of like we did with La Hacienda.
We kind of just learned our lesson that it's better to split an entree.
It's better to split it, yeah. And so we split the oven-baked chicken alla parmigiana, and I thought it was great.
Everything was really good.
Yeah. I've heard some people complaining that, it's like Olive Garden, it's not any better than Olive Garden.
Yeah.
But no, it was nicer than Olive Garden.
Yeah.
Good.
And they also include bread with like an oil.
Yeah. If there's anything I would complain about, it's that maybe the portion size for the amount that you pay on the appetizers was a little small. But I thought it was really good.
Yeah. Also, as we were eating, I was actually getting a little nervous because I wanted to watch the fireworks show, and we were really approaching the time that it was starting. So after we paid for our check, we pretty much booked it out the door. We were running, and as we're running towards the fireworks show, we could hear them going off in the distance.
Yeah.
The thing that was against us was we were pretty full and our feet were killing us. So, but we did our best to get over there as quickly as we could.
Yeah, and we ended up seeing 95% of the show, and so it really wasn't that big of a deal. It was a pretty spectacular show too. Yeah. They had all sorts of fireworks and lasers and projections and giant fireballs, and so that was pretty impressive. They used an awful lot of materials to make these impressive displays. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. After the show, we made our way back over to the Skyliner on our way back to Pop Century.
First, a quick disclaimer. Obviously, a lot of our tips are only going to apply once the parks resume normal operating procedures. So, that said, let's jump in.
Arrive an hour and a half before the earliest opening time.
As with Animal Kingdom, you may want to take transportation other than the Disney bus lines to guarantee a really early start, such as Disney's minivan service, which is operated through Lyft. Since it was just the 2 of us, we took a regular Lyft, $8.58 before tip, so not really bad considering how early it was that we were trying to arrive at the park.
As of now, the only way to ride Rise of the Resistance is with a boarding group.
In order to get a boarding group, set your phone to data, not Wi-Fi. At 2 minutes till park opening, open the My Disney Experience app, and you want to already be signed in with your party members added. Go to the boarding group page and start refreshing it. If it's not working for you, immediately see a cast member with a tablet. Hopefully one's nearby and you don't lose your place in line at rope drop. Something that you may have to do is take one step back on a page and then go forward in order to fully refresh it.
If you do snag a boarding group, once your group is called, remember that you have a 2-hour window in which to scan in at the queue. This means you don't have to stick around the park all day.
As with Epcot and Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios has Tier 1 and Tier 2 FastPasses. You initially get 1 Tier 1 selection and 2 Tier 2 selections, or if you prefer, 3 Tier 2s. At Hollywood Studios, there are 3 Tier 1 attractions: Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run, and Slinky Dog Dash. Our suggestion is that you apply your Tier 1 FastPasses to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, do single rider line on Smugglers Run, and rope drop Slinky Dog Dash, followed by Toy Story Mania. If you can't get a FastPass for Runaway Railway, we suggest that you rope drop it first.
If you do rope drop, and we strongly recommend that you do, it allows you to save your FastPass for the 9:15 a.m. through 2 p.m. FastPass sweet spot. This is when lines are longest and therefore when they will save you the most time.
Remember to leave time in your day to see at least one show and do a little shopping. It is Hollywood after all.
Now that you've seen our experiences in Hollywood Studios, let us know what you're most interested in.
Or if you've already been, what are some of your favorite parts?
Tell us in the comments.
Our next episode in the series will cover Magic Kingdom!
Ta-da! So look for that in the coming weeks. Thanks for watching. Bye!
Bye! Oh, actually, this is supposed to be one. It's kind of funny. You can see how the neighbors need to do their lawn from down here. Oh, half of that's our yard. No, what's that? What's that? What is that? What is it? What is it?
What is life?
42.
So grab your boots and a blaster and we'll get into it somehow.